Every year is different. That's what is exciting about this job is, we've had some good success in the past, but it's a new group of girls every year, and it's fun to just come in and start from the ground up with a new group of girls and make another chase or another run for, a good season. Well, I think it definitely helps. I don't think it's necessary to have been a player, to be a coach, but I certainly draw back on some of my experiences at Calvert and at John Carroll when I played volleyball, when I'm coaching, now. So I think it helps me in my personal situation, but I don't think it's necessary. At the end of the day, I want them to have a good experience here at Calvert. I mean, winning is great, playing volleyball is fun, being competitive and successful are all wonderful, but I want them to leave our program enjoying being part of the team that they were on. I want them to look back on the successes and the struggles that we had together and really have learned something from that. Well, any coach will tell you that is very, very, very important. I mean, Coach T. Taylor and I have been coaching together, I think 6 years together, and she's pivotal for our program. She's consistent, she's wicked smart, the girls respect and love her. It's very important. Coach Amy has been here, I think a couple years less than T, but Coach Amy was a head varsity coach prior to coming here. I mean, she brings a wealth of knowledge. She has a connection with the athletes that is just really wonderful. So that part of it just elevates our whole experience having someone that was a varsity coach in another program. She's our JV coach. And then Coach Sydney was our freshman coach last year, and we don't have a freshman team this year, so she is going to co-coach with Amy, Coach Amy, and Sydney's just getting into the coaching. She was a state champion on the 2018 team, so she brings those experiences with her into our gym, which is really wonderful. Well, I don't think there's really a magic pill or like a prescription that you can give. I would say, my response to that is we just grind. I mean, we work hard in the gym. We work as hard the last week in October as we do the second and third week in August. And I think that's, one of the reasons why, we've had the success that we've had. And I hope we continue to have that success is because we go into every single game, no matter who the opponent is, wanting to better ourselves. And sometimes that's hard to do, but it's what us coaches expect. And we learn something from every game that we play, every set that we play. Well, our preseason has been going great. For some reason, I feel like this preseason has gone the fastest of any of them. It's hard to believe that we open up Saturday, but it's been good. I mean, I think the athletic programs at Calvert collectively are all getting stronger and working more in the off season. So the volleyball program, we took a little bit of a step back just to give the basketball program, the track, and the softball programs, the opportunity to have access to the athletes in the off season or in the summertime. We don't want to overwhelm the athletes and their families in the summer. So we did a little bit less, I think, this year than we have in past years. But that doesn't mean that the athletes weren't doing less. They were just working on basketball and softball on the days that they weren't with volleyball. But the transition, from preseason into season, we can actually coach now. In preseason, it's open gym, and we lift, and the coaches are present in the gym, but we're not coaching. So T and I are excited to be able to be running drills and really being active in the practice. Well, we were young last year. I mean, we had one senior in our program, and that's a really young team. And I think one thing I learned is senior leadership is pivotal. I never realized how important and how wonderful it is to have a good group of older upperclassmen. And I'm looking forward to this year. It feels so much better starting this year already than it did last year, just because our sophomores are juniors, our freshmen are sophomores. And that 1 year of maturity and experience makes a really big difference. There's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes between the coaching staff. I mean, we do a lot of scouting and watching film and breaking things down going into the postseason, once we're in the postseason, that we typically don't do as much of during the regular season. But from a game approach perspective and preparing for matches, we prepared pretty much the same going into the state championship game that we did, going into an August 14th game. I mean, that's just my approach.
Yeah.
Well, we had a similar conversation at one of our practices last year. It was earlier in the season, and this group of girls, none of these girls were part of the 18 or 2020 state championship teams. So the conversation that we had is, they have some things to prove. I mean, our program has had those 2 state championships, but none of them have. And, it kind of gives me goosebumps just talking about it, because that's what keeps me showing up every day, is I want that for this group of girls. I mean, they weren't there in 18 or 20. They were probably in the stands. A couple of the girls were ball girls, but now these athletes are on the court competing for it. And so I almost feel like we're just as hungry now as we were in 2018 fighting for the first one. And the girls get to vote for captains.
Okay.
And yeah, I think captains are very important for your program. We talk about it, at practices, just, it's not a popularity contest. It's not something that you give to the person you like the most or the person that plays the most. And we kind of go over what the characteristics that the coaches, see in captains and what we hope that they'll look for in a captain. But, I also talk to the girls a lot about you can be a leader without the title. Because, we're going to have 2, maybe 3 captains on varsity, but we have a lot more leaders than 2 or 3 in our team. So, 2 or 3 of them are going to get the title as captain, but, I also want the others to step up and lead in the way that they do, to get people to get behind them. Yeah, I think anytime a team has a goal or an aspiration to make a deep tournament run, you have to expose your team to different levels of competition, to, early Saturday games, get on a bus, travel, and then get off and play. So I spend quite a bit of time trying to find competitive teams to play outside of our league. But, we love our league schedule and the fact that a lot of these girls play other sports against them, and they're in travel ball together. So pretty much every gym that we show up to, there's athletes on the other side of the net that these girls have been on the same team with, which that's really awesome. I mean, I love the fact that we play, local teams that the girls and the parents really get to enjoy that. Our culture in the gym is one of, hard work, and you have to show up every day and get better. And we try really hard to create difficult situations in practice and put athletes in difficult situations so they can work through that in the comfort of our gym. So when we get into those difficult situations in someone else's gym or under big lights, they can have that feeling of, I've been here before. I've worked myself out of this. And teammates know what to do when one of their teammates is struggling. So we really try to create a competitive environment in our practice gym. I'm just looking forward to every day. I mean, they're a fun group. They really are. They just don't take themselves too serious. They have high expectations for themselves, which I love in a team. They're taking the freshmen under their wings, which is wonderful to see. We have 4 freshmen in our program, and it can be intimidating coming into a program like we have, and I respect that and understand that completely. And I think when I see the seniors and the juniors taking these younger girls under their wings, it warms my heart, because hopefully there was a junior or a senior when they were freshmen and sophomores that did that to them, and welcomed them in and helped them feel comfortable. So it feels great to have a full gym here at Calvert. It really does, and we do have really good support. It's wonderful to see some of the same faces of families that don't have anybody in the program that still come and watch and support us. That's awesome. It's wonderful. We don't take lightly the fact that we have really good support every game that we have. And that being said, I will say, a lot of times I tell the girls too when we compete, pull the curtain around us. It's just 6 versus 6, and just black out the noise. I'm so happy that we can do this for the athletes. I think our job as coaches is to try to give good experiences to high school athletes. Hopefully these guys are going to be 25, 30 years old and look back and remember this event. So it's going to be awesome. I think it was a good collaborative event between Calvert and Columbian, and then Heidelberg and Findlay. I reached out to Jason at Heidelberg trying to troubleshoot how to make it happen just with our high school game. And as Jason and I were talking through it, he's like, well, what do you think about throwing the college game in after the high school game? I'm like, that's a fantastic idea. So it just kind of took on a life of its own. And I think it all started with a couple of the seniors on our team who had this idea for their senior project. So, they want to raise some money for FACT, a great organization in Seneca County, and I think it's going to be awesome. Original scheduled date is September 22nd, that Monday. We're hoping that it's a good night and no elements, but if it does rain, if there's rain in the forecast, then the rescheduled date will be the 24th, just that Wednesday. So we're hoping for good weather and a lot of excited people just to get together and have some food truck food or concession stand food and watch a couple good volleyball games. Well, I think it would be great to go support any local team that is out there. High school is 4 short years for these athletes, and if you come watch a Calvert volleyball game, you're going to have a good time. We're going to hopefully, be competitive and perform well and give you something exciting to watch. But if you can't make it to a Calvert game, go to a Columbian game. If you can't make it to a Columbian game, go to a football game, whatever. So I think just the support that you can give these high school athletes is a wonderful thing.